There's a
25
graphite
seconds to go.
spray. Can you try to mix up some paint and make it look just like that graphite spray? So I had to custom match the graphite
Nice.
coating. So that worked out okay. But,
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's called Ask Him to Do It.
Is that what it is?
And this is before the gloss coat, but that's the model
which two are
plaque
coming back?
display with the
Joe?
huge 4-inch coin that you can flip over.
I wondered if she would
But I
retire
hadn't
this
put
year.
the
but her
gloss
daughter
coat
just
on
got
the
married full-time
plaque
real
yet.
high, so I bet she
pretty
stays up for
nice.
minors. I'll have her 30 in.
Yeah. Anyway. And there's another one.
Okay, well, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll call to order our, oh, we'll wait just a second.
Sorry,
Caught Steve off guard.
it's gonna be one of those days.
All right, at 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call to order our Planning Commission meeting for June 13th of 2023. I'd like to welcome the members of the public. It's always good to see the public here for our Planning Commission meetings. We'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be led by Commissioner Payne. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We would also like to excuse Commissioners Felt and Collins. Chris, I just couldn't think of his last name, Collins. They won't be with us tonight, so we just want to excuse them. Do any of the planning commissioners have any conflicts that they need to declare tonight?
No.
No,
Okay, I don't see any conflicts. So we're going to kind of move slightly away from the agenda for just a minute. We'd like to welcome Mayor Dandoy to our Planning Commission meeting. Commissioner Payne has been a planning commissioner for a long time, and we want to have the mayor say a few words for him and do a little presentation for Commissioner Payne. So, Mayor.
Does everybody know why?
They will.
Oh, okay.
Chairman, thank you for this opportunity. Claude, it's been a long time. We served on the planning commission together. Man, it's been that long?
I know.
It seemed like yesterday.
Seemed like it was that long.
Oh, wow, incredible. Anyway, let me just make a couple of comments, commissioners, if you don't mind. The first thing is that when I was a city council member, actually a planner, but I really got more engaged when I became a city council member, there was a lot of issues happening in the city. And typically, whether it be economical development or some development activities, it was really kind of hard, to understand why there was so much finger pointing taking place to staff. I'm telling you, as a city council member, it was absolutely clear, that city council had a tendency to hold, staff accountable for some of the issues that were taking place, or, and this is lack of development. It was incredible. If you look at the record, we changed city managers 5 times in 5 years. That's unheard of, It was such a difficult time that there were people, when we finally was able to stabilize that and bring city managers to the table for an interview, there was a lot of qualified candidates who would not apply to Roy City, in large part because we had a pretty bad reputation in terms of getting rid of city managers, holding people accountable. And I remember very clearly a number of times I had an opportunity to talk on this issue, and I remember very clearly going up to simply says council mayor at the time, the problem is not with the staff. The problem was with the code. The problem was with the code. We dealt with an inadequate, antiquated code. It hasn't been changed in a long time. I mean, let's let the record be clear. The last time the general plan, and Steve knows this better than anybody, last time the general plan was updated was 2002. And we're talking 2016, 2017. We're talking years We didn't have a general plan. That old general plan still talked about bringing a train station into Roy, and we already had a train station. We had so much. It was just incredible. Our code down the street on 1900, where there was such a push that simply says we needed to bring, if you will, okay, a modernization to the code. The fact of it is it couldn't. There's a really nice looking building sitting there on the airport if you want to drive down 4400. And one side of that is Roy, the other side is Ogden. Take a look at that brand new building sitting there, and I will tell you that building could not be built in Roy City under that code. And it's a beautiful, modern building. But the code was antiquated. It just didn't work. Claude, let me tell you what you've accomplished, okay, since you have been a commissioner, okay? Today, we in fact have a general plan. Today, we in fact have a Chapter 13 that changed and revolutionized and modernized, okay, our downtown. And Claude, I will tell you, okay, there are potential developers finally knocking on our door about some great opportunities. Today, we have a station area plan that has in fact been approved and on its way to Salt Lake to be final approved and to be voted on as being our stationary plan, only the third one, okay, in this state. Claude, you were part of all this. You helped make all that happen. Roy City is a better place because of you and your contribution. Now, there may be some antiquated old policy that says after 9 years, okay, we have to let our talent and our skills go. But I want you to know, okay, you made an incredible difference in changing Roy City. It is better today because of you. I'm here to say thanks.
Thank you.
Well done. I think Steve's going to do a little thing, but before he does, I'd just like to do a little thing for you. I can't do a lot. I think the stipend pay we provide to the Planning Commission is a little bit of money, as much. Maybe we should have a conversation about maybe making that change. But I am telling you, you didn't do this for the money. You did it because you wanted to make a difference.
Right.
And you certainly have. So with that, I have a little coin. It's a mayor's coin. I do not give this out liberally. It takes someone who's gone the extra mile to make a difference to get a coin from the mayor. And you certainly deserve it. So I'd like to give this to you and say thank you very much. And then I'll turn some time over to Steve. He'd like to finish this, okay? Thank you, Chairman.
Speech.
Thank you, Mayor Dandoy. You know, I've been on the Planning Commission for a number of years, and when you first start something new, I think it's always wise to look around the room and kind of look to the people who've been there and have a little bit of experience. And Commissioner Payne has definitely done that, and I feel like we've accomplished a lot. I've only been here for part of that, but I feel like we are making a difference for the city moving forward. So thank you for your time and your service. So thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to agenda item number 3, which is approval of the meeting minutes from April 11th, 2023 from our regular meeting.
Are we making a motion now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the April 11th meeting minutes.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. The next item is approval of the May 9th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve May 9th, 2023, regular meeting minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Any seconds?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Janelle.
Okay. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously as well. We'll now move on to item number 4. Matt is going to take just a minute and talk about item number 4.
I'm not sure if there's anyone from the public that's here to speak to the public hearing, but there was a noticing error. And so our recommendation, or my recommendation, is you table it. If someone is here to speak to this item, that you could open the public hearing and hear from them, or they could submit their comments via email. But the issue is, because of the noticing error, my recommendation is to not take any final action, and we can have it on our next agenda.
Okay. Any discussion to that?
You want a motion?
The
What was the
motion is in
error?
order.
I make a motion that we.
Hold
Go
on
ahead.
just 1 second.
The error was letters that were sent out. Staff, you don't reinvent the wheel, right? So I took an old notice and didn't notice that it didn't say, well, it said there would be no physical location for this meeting and it'd all be online. And since then so
Gotcha.
because of that, many people are probably sitting online wondering if they could talk. Because of that, I didn't notice that it was to be here.
Oh.
I've spoken with one of the applicants and emailed the others to let them know.
You're forgiven. I just wonder what it was.
So we will have it in a future meeting, just not this one because of the noticing requirements.
And I don't know if anyone is here to speak to this, to address the planning commission for the public hearing.
Is anybody here to speak to this issue? Okay. So motions. in order.
Motion to table item number 4.
So we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second. All in favor of tabling item number 4?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's tabled. Next item is the public hearing to consider amendments to Title 10 zoning regulations, amending Chapter 19, off-street parking and loading, Section 6, location of required off-street parking, adding an exception for winter parking within front yard setback. So before we go to the public hearing, we'll turn it over to staff for a presentation, and then we'll go to the public hearing. Whichever one wants to do it.
This is an item we've discussed a few times in work sessions and stuff that we've kind of gone over, and most of it again is just to make sure that we have the wording correctly. And I know all of you have kind of voiced your thoughts and opinions on the topic, but again, we're here to look at the sample ordinance as written. So I don't know if I could continue to beat a dead horse or or a live horse in this case. Live horses still. But, so yeah, it's just continue on with the the wording that staff or council or planning commission planning commission to come up with to allow for front yard parking during an active winter storm. There were some caveats the planning commission wanted to put in, that all other locations that are available on site have been utilized for parking. The change I just kind of put in parentheses what those other locations are. So your carport, side yard next to the driveway, and rear yard. And then also the caveat that the vehicle must be removed within 12 hours after the snowstorm has ended. So other than that, that's all I've.
Okay. So in essence, all this would be doing is making it so there's an exception for snowstorms. And currently, just to clarify, currently in the code, you're allowed to park in your garage. You're also allowed to improve areas around your house, like the side yard, the back, where you can additionally park cars. And this would just be in case there's a snowstorm, and obviously you can't park on the street during a snowstorm. So it'd be to allow cars to park on an unimproved portion of their yard if all the other areas that are improved or could be improved are taken. Okay, I just wanted to summarize that so we're all on the same page. So, any questions from any of the planning commissioners for staff?
I guess I'm still wondering about the policing of this. That's kind of my, like, how much
Well, it'll,
work that will
the
actually
code
work.
enforcement officer will have to drive around and see. I mean, the bigger issue is gonna be is, you know, are all those areas utilized? And that things will have to take into account as he drives by. You know, if you can see that the driveway's still open or the side yard is still open, you know, those are things they'll have to do. Yet it makes it difficult, but, you know, it's just what it is. I mean, Dan or Commissioner Tanner can attest, it's not easy with one person, but he has to drive around anyway and pick people up that haven't, you know, shoveled their sidewalks, so it'll just kind of be the same type of thing. So,
Okay, seeing no other questions, we'll move to the public hearing. How many members of the public do we have here to speak to this issue?
need to open it.
I know, I'm just asking how many we have to speak. So, just a reminder before we open up the public hearing, when you come forward to the microphone, please state your name and your address, and then we'll give each of you 3 minutes to share your thoughts. If somebody before you has already shared thoughts that are the same as what you have, just go ahead and say, hey, I agree with the things that they said before, and then continue to share new thoughts, and that just allows people to have a little bit more time to express themselves. So with that, a motion is in order to open the public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing.
I have a motion to open the public hearing. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. So we are now into the public hearing. So members of the public, please come forward and state your name and address, and then we'll start your time.
I am Kevin Homer. I live here at 5398 South, 4000 West in Roy. I have a couple of suggestions for this proposal. Currently, the way it's written, it looks like you would only allow a single truck or car, because we've recently had a reevaluation of what vehicles are. I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't, instead of narrowing it to just a truck and a car, what if it's a utility vehicle or some other kind of vehicle, a towable trailer or something? I would like to see that modified so that it would include the current definition in city code of a vehicle. And the other concern I have is single vehicle. If you've got a great big front yard, you need to move 2 or more in there, why should we limit that? If they're trying, you know, the point of this is to get cars off of the road during a snowstorm. If they have a big enough yard and if they have enough vehicles, why not allow that many to go up? So that's all the comment I have.
All right, thank you.
Glenda Moore, 2088 West, 3825 South. Uh-oh, I've broken it. I oppose the whole change. I think this is opening a Pandora's box. It doesn't take very long for a lawn to be ruined. You start putting a vehicle on the lawn, and it takes minutes before they've got a deep groove in that lawn that nobody's going to fix when it's time. And then you start putting more vehicles on it, and then after that, they're gonna say, well, why don't we just let us park on the lawn all the time? Plus, I don't think that it's fair to expect the police or the code enforcement officer to drive around looking for this. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you for your comments. Did you have comments that you would like to make? Okay. All right, seeing no further comments, a motion is in order to close the public hearing.
I motion to close the public hearing.
I have a motion to close. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We're now out of the public hearing. Is there discussion among the planning commissioners.
Just a comment, as Mr. Parkin has stated, this is something I do as a living in another city. And my personal philosophy is that we need to be responsible citizens. And the intent of the opportunity to park on the street is for convenience. It's not a place to have a permanent parking spot in front of your house. That's what your driveways are for. That's what other surfaces are for. There's a permanent place to park your car. Now, if it's convenient that you have multiple cars and you park on the street because that's the one you take to work, that's the convenience. But when it comes to getting your personal property off the city street so we can plow the street, that should be your responsibility to make sure it's done properly and to the ordinance that's currently on the books. It has to be on a hard surface, and it can be in all the areas we've talked about. So, to me, we're looking at this for the small percentage of people it could impact and it could have, but it comes back to me being a responsible citizens. Do we understand that the street is for convenience? Storing your trailers and storing your motorhomes and storing your boats, that's called storing. That's not for convenience, that's taking advantage of the city streets. And so I view this as the same thing. We have to be responsible citizens saying, okay, look, if we've got 5 cars, I've got to have 5 places to park that on my property. Now, again, if I'm going to drive it to work and it's not snowing, I'm okay to use that street for temporary parking, for convenience parking. But if there's a snowstorm, I need to get it all on my property, not on the grass, on a hard surface as it's defined. So I'm concerned that we're doing this for a small percentage. And again, being in that position of enforcement, heaven forbid I have to take my whole winter month doing nothing but chasing down offenders and driving through neighborhoods and finding people. It just seems like it's counterproductive, and my time should be spent doing other things in that kind of a role. And so I don't favor this, and I would recommend denial on my part only because I feel like it's really a citizen responsibility and not for the city to make exclusions for a small percentage so they can continue to have all the cars they want and have a place to park it. So I still think it comes down to the responsibility of the citizen to be responsible for the community and not to force us to change an ordinance to fit the few.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I'd like to concur with Commissioner Tanner on his comments. I also think that we have provided the means to park multiple vehicles on a property. You can do it on either side yard, and you can do it in the backyard. Say,
One side yard.
One side yard.
yeah, I'm sorry, on one side yard, or in the back. That seems to me to be able to accommodate most people. And the small number that we're talking about, I think, gets even smaller if they, in fact, use the backyard or they use their side yard. So I agree with you.
Yep, and I think I've been pretty clear on my feelings on this. I think it's ridiculous that we even have this before us. It seems like we've provided adequate opportunities over the years to change parking to allow more areas on the side yard, the back. I just don't see the front yard as a place that a car needs to be parked. And if, I think there's other opportunities. So for me, I don't think there's any amendments that make this palatable for me, but
And I agree with something that was mentioned, that it just opens up a Pandora's box. It just,
Absolutely it
they
does.
start taking advantage of it, and it's not going to be a good thing.
I do also want to say, though, I think it's good that we explored this. I think it's to think of every option just because sometimes that's what needs to be done. But definitely after our work session, like I've thought about this as well. I've driven around trying to look for those type of things, and I just think that it would be a very small percentage that would do that, would need it if they even need to. There were a lot of people that just didn't even have their side yard to I mean, that they didn't prepare their side yard to accommodate that, that the side yard could accommodate that if they, you know, changed that. So, I do think it, like they said, opens it up to, I mean, we just saw an example of people suggesting we open it up to even more cars and things like that. So I think, yeah, I think I don't like that idea of it.
Are you ready for a motion then?
A motion is definitely in order.
Make a motion that we deny the change,
Recommend.
or recommend that we deny the change to,
I second that motion.
Okay.
Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Holbert, sorry.
Wait, I say aye, right?
Yes, if
I'm
you-
all kinds of confused.
if you
right?
agree.
Okay,
So
aye,
an
yes.
aye means that you're rejecting it.
Ayes, you
Yes,
agree with the
okay,
motion.
because you
Yep.
said deny it. Okay,
Correct.
yes, okay.
Commissioner Tanner,
aye.
Commissioner Spar,
Aye.
Commissioner Cowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Brand,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Bills.
Aye.
Okay.
I wanted to vote no. You should have made the motion the other way.
That wasn't gonna come out of my mouth.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 6, which is a request for site plan approval for Pandora's Box, located approximately 1821 West, 4000 South.
You didn't want to open up Pandora's box, but here we are now.
I know, right? You planned that, didn't you, Steve? We'll go ahead and have the applicant come forward, and if you could give us your name, address, and then tell us a little bit about your plan here. And we will literally open up Pandora's box, so.
My name's Aaron Davis, and I own a building at 1821 West, 4000 South in Roy. I brought a slide presentation. Steve said, bring your own presentation, so I don't know if I should, it's just some pictures, but maybe to give you context on, should I just unplug this, or?
Boys and Girls Club used to be in that building years ago,
Out of mine and get into yours.
long time ago.
See if I can, is the Wi-Fi free, or will it just
We do
connect?
what?
Will the Wi-Fi just connect, or should I use one of these?
Oh,
Otherwise
you're
I-
fine.
Otherwise I can, oh. Well, let's see, we can just do it like this, but I don't think I need a slideshow, so. Basically, I own this building right here. The Golden Spike Technology Park. And we had Pandora's Box, who came in and occupied about 8,500 square feet of this space. They need a dumpster. So we wanted to build an enclosure right here in this corner. Where I've got the arrow right there. And so that's the spot. And that yellow dot represents where the dumpster would be. More exciting. That's a picture of the location I took earlier this year. So we would basically build just a clean cinder block wall, 3 sides in that space. By there. Not really any other good places to put this. And then for context, there's really a very large parking lot that extends out from where this dumpster location. Their entrance is right there. Parking lot, we don't have a lot of, the way the whole space is occupied, we don't have a lot of like parking, people coming to park their cars, so that space remains open. We actually own, at least my partner and I own that parking lot there. But we didn't want to stick a trash can like out in the middle of the parking lot. So anyways, basically we would build, a 6-foot, 3-wall, nice cinder block space for this dumpster. That was the idea. So that's all I've got.
Okay, any questions from any of the commissioners?
What is the size of this addition?
I mean, I don't know. I think I had, Steve, do you have the numbers? I think it was 8.5 I had gotten online, I'm like, how big's a dumpster location? I don't know, but call it 6 feet high, and you got about 12 feet deep and about, I think like 12, I mean, it's not 12, but it was like, I think maybe 14 feet deep, 12 feet wide, something like that. Big enough to fit like a normal dumpster. I don't think they'll need a large dumpster. We just know that they need some access to that. We wanted to make a nice enclosure. That was really the idea. So.
Thank you.
Steve had mentioned it's 8.5 feet. I got online. That does seem a little tall. 6 feet is probably about 6 feet, so it'd be about as tall as me.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move to staff for their presentation on this.
Okay, as mentioned, this is site plan approval for Pandora's Box. It's located 1821 West, 4000 South. Just an aerial showing where it is on the in the city, near the airport and just off south of 4000. As mentioned, these kind of the locations that they're proposing. Width-wise, it'd just be in order to accommodate whatever dumpster they're thinking of putting in there. And then not all the entities have submitted their design review or development review comments, but here are staff's. The only caveat would be just approve it subject to the DRC comments in order to get it approved. It's out of the way. It's kind of, in a parking lot. You're not going to really, you'll see some of it from the street, but you really won't. So it really, site-wise, as long as it, it works, staff has no problem and would recommend approval for it.
Any questions or a motion is in order?
I move that we approve the site plan for Pandora's Box located approximately 1821 West, 4000 South, with comments as stated in the DRC report.
Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous, so that'll go forward. Next, we move on to item number 7, which is a request for preliminary subdivision approval for either Tigard or Tigard Phase 3, located at approximately 3025 West, 4600 South. If the applicant's here, if they would please come forward.
Come on up, Tigard. Tigard.
Hey, good evening, planning commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's Robert Fuller. I live at 1090 North, 5900 East in Eden, Utah. And I have a hayfield out there on 3100 West by 4600 South. And I think that's zoned R18, so I had a plat created to create those lots since I was unable to sell it to the city. So if you have any questions on it, I could maybe address those.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Do any of the commissioners have any questions?
We used this area for parking for Roy Days at one time, didn't we?
They have in the past, yes.
Thank you for letting us do that, by the way.
Oh, good. Thanks. I appreciate it. That's good. Mowing that down there. Yeah, there was a time the city's had some interest in it. There was time for a cemetery back when that 2-acre piece was also available, and then that didn't really go anyplace. And then I tried pawning it off as kind of a park area since it's right across the street from Park West. But anyway, maybe the structure of it now, maybe the configuration is best suited for just exactly what's around it, which is R18 lots. So I think Landmark drafted that up and proposed that as a pretty good design. So that's what we started with. Anyway, yeah. Do you have any questions, or do you want me to address any particular points?
Nope, and the zoning's staying the same and everything, which I think is great, the R18 and...
Yeah, I think everything seems to fit there, so that's it.
Okay, and is it Tigard or Tigard or how?
Tigard, yes.
Tigard.
Tigard.
Okay.
Tigard. That was Tigard.
Neither of those.
Yes, came from an Oregon. Yeah, it's just a funny name. I don't know where it came. It has a funny story where it came from, but anyway, yeah, that's whatever's on there, I think is what we came up with. If you have a better idea, we're pretty receptive to whatever the city would want on there. Hayfields and populations don't do well together. That's kind of a, yeah, the empty fields are just an invitation. It's just like an invitation to dump something. So I just soon get rid of it. It's hard to maintain a hayfield down here, so maybe it's time for it to go. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Steve, we'll turn it over to you for a minute.
As mentioned, this is a preliminary subdivision for Tigard
Tigard.
Phase 3 there on 4600 South, in between 3025 and 3100 West. We've already had Phase 1 and Phase 2 in the area. This is just finishing up the rest of the property. It's got an odd configuration, but it's even odder when you start looking at how the lots themselves are going to be put in there. There's 2 power lines. There's 1 large water line going through these properties. So he's not able to get more than what's shown. I think most people would try, but he is complying with the requirements of the R18 zone for lot width, lot size. So, and again, the planning DRC comments were provided. There are some issues, but again, it's just subdividing land that's zoned R18 to an R18 standard. Even with these comments, if they were huge, I would still recommend approval of the subdivision because the lots aren't going to be any smaller, any less wide than they're supposed to be. So staff would recommend approval of the Phase 3.
Excellent. Any comments from staff?
How about from commission?
Or from commission, sorry, not from staff, from commission. Thank you. No, I think it's great to see a plan for more single-family homes, and I know we've had a pretty good mix over the last few years, and it's always good to see some houses balancing out some of the other types of development that are coming in, so.
I think it's highest, best use for the land.
Absolutely.
Yep. Motion's in order.
Good flag lot.
What's that?
I like that flag lot. Wicked one.
I recommend that we approve the preliminary subdivision for Tigard subdivision, Phase 3, located approximately 3025 west, 4600 south, with the conditions stated within the staff report.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. We will now move on to item number 8 on the agenda, which is the Commissioner's Minute. I personally don't have anything. I expressed my feelings for Commissioner Payne and what he's done, and just want to reiterate that. But other than that, I don't have anything. But any of the other commissioners, do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
I had the opportunity to go to the UDOT open house here last week before last, and they had a bunch of people there from UDOT, and the thing I learned that was interesting, their plans for widening 56 is that they're going to do the south side first, and they will have traffic on the north side, okay? When they complete that, then they're going to switch over and do the north side second. So we'll still have some access up 5600. It's a parking lot now, it's going to be a parking lot then. Also, my takeaway was they were really more interested in the freeway exchange than they were widening 56. Thirdly, they're going to widen 1800 North, what I call Walmart Road, okay, in Clinton, okay? And the big deal is they're going to put in an overpass over the railroad tracks and an exchange up at the freeway.
In Clinton?
In Clinton,
Well, Sunset.
okay?
Sunset.
So, on Sunset, yeah.
Sunset, yeah.
Okay. And finally, they said that they would complete this by 2026. And I asked one of them,
Or both?
both, yes, they're good, they're working on them at the same time.
Oh.
That's what I did. I made that face, okay? And the guy said the contractor that they have did the 89 exchange that they did, or the addition, and he did it during COVID, and he came in on time. So he thinks maybe they will actually be able to
Well,
perform.
when he was working then. ding-a-ling.
What he was driving,
So-
right?
They should go up one way and down 48, like make a big circle and right.
Oh, we're going to find, it's going to be like stream, meandering all through the neighborhoods, okay? I mean, that's what's going to happen. But anyhow, they were pretty positive, and I thought it was good information that they have a contractor that has performed something on time. So,
Can I add to that, that I got to see when I went to that meeting as well, and I noticed, like, our general plan asks for that they are gonna put in additional trails alongside the road, so that's going towards our general plan, which I loved, so.
it was good, yeah. So anyhow, it was pretty positive,
It's one of those items you had to have in the plan or UDOT won't do it.
or
So
they won't do it.
we did our
We
transportation master plan long before our general plan to get it in there. So when UDOT started looking at it, they had to.
Yeah, we made,
Well, good job
we
on
made sure we
That
had
was a
that.
good
that.
suggestion on Steve's part when we were working that issue. That was a
Yep.
good foresight for you to present that to us when we were doing that plan.
So on
Because that was
56
definitely a good thing.
On 56, will they have flaggers, like this side goes, that side? How would they do that?
Well, it'll probably still be one lane each direction.
Oh, because they're adding the
Yeah,
lanes.
they're adding
Oh.
space, okay?
Yeah,
And so what I took from it was that there'll be one lane of traffic each way, but it won't be closed all the time.
and you can only turn right because you can't turn left
Yeah,
because they're
you're gonna have
working.
that kind of stuff.
Oh. Well, I was in charge. No, I'm just kidding.
It'll be fun, they say.
Oh, and I asked him about 4,000, and they said they weren't talking about that now.
That's a,
I wouldn't either.
So, thanks.
well, it's a city road anyway, isn't it? 4,000, so.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Okay, Steve, staff update.
Just to let you know, the station area plan, have to pause there.
It didn't sound like stationary this time.
It didn't sound like stationary? Like the paper? I look at Glenda because she commented on, what's stationary plan? The station area plan was approved by the council last week, as the mayor had commented. I'm sending it off to Wasatch Front Regional Council and UTA, because by state statute, they have to approve it as well. So they will have it by the end of this week to go through their process. The great thing is both Wasatch Front Regional Council and UTA have been involved through every step and every process. In fact, even the consultant talked to UTA one-on-one to make sure that we were doing what they wanted to do. So I don't foresee it coming back with any issues. If there is, then we kind of go back through the process to satisfy them. But it is in the process. Other projects, if you have any questions, I can tell you, but there's some building going on around the city, both north, west, and south. So we've got Cup Bop, I think, tomorrow is the grand opening. Or Thursday, I can't remember which one it was, but
Friday.
the 16th, so Friday. So please come down. If you've never had Korean food in a cup, please go. It's really good.
Good stuff, yep.
You know, that's college kids from BYU or something. They were on Shark Tank. So if you Google it, you can see the clip. It was these college kids that did it.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. They're from Utah.
They kind of started as a food truck.
Yeah.
Had a thing at Real Salt Lake.
And then I think Mark Cuban went in with them, and like they're going nationwide. It's kind of cool.
It's a pretty big deal. That's about all I've got.
Okay, with that, we have one final motion. Commissioner Payne?
If I may,
Yep.
Oh,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
no.
Was that?
No, I'm a yes. I don't want Clyde to leak, because now who's going to talk to me here? I have a good partner. Taurus, you're my new partner. You have to tell me what to do.
I remember that.
Are we having a work session?